The American media and political establishment are still digesting Barack Obama's deal with Iran over its nuclear program. But we do know that the initial returns, the initial impressions coming out of Iran, those seem pretty positive. And one way that we know that is through Twitter activity coming from Iran. So we're going to show you some tweets here of people taking selfies with the president, or at least his image on television. And they are all very happy that he is announcing at that point. This is live as he's announcing the deal with Iran. They're pinching his cheeks. Sheer joy. One of them said he's with us, which the right wing has already sort of turned around and said that Barack Obama's with them. They're kissing John Kerry. That's something that has not happened in a long time. And you see a family looking much like a family does, oddly enough, in Iran.
Yeah,
turns out they actually have families and they gather around and watch TV.
Before you plan your next terrorist strike, you have to meet. You know, that's all. That's clearly all that's happening there.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, what's amazing is the reaction from the right. I don't even have to. I don't even know what it is, but I know what it is, right? And that, I mean, haven't we worked since the Islamic Revolution in 1979 to have Iranians gleefully watching an American president on television? like, isn't this? I mean, what is your end game? What do you want? But of course, what they want is to keep demonizing Iran. Maybe it leads to war, but at least keep demonizing them. And this is a barrier to that.
Yeah, it's crazy because Iran has been demonized for the last 30, 35 years. And I don't believe for a second that the people of Iran hate the U.S. I don't. In fact, after 9/11, there are images all across Iran where people are holding up signs that says, we are all Americans, we're with you. And in fact, they helped us in our efforts in Afghanistan against the Taliban. So,
and they're helping us now against ISIS in Iraq.
Yes, they are. So the reason why we're fed this propaganda, this anti-Iranian propaganda, is because I think we're largely allied with the Saudis. The Saudis hate the Iranians. It's the whole Sunni-Shia rivalry, and it's being played out through those two states, Saudi Arabia and Iran. And the U.S. and Israel, to a large extent, are kind of being played by Saudi Arabia. And, it's complicated. So we're not just being played. But the problem is, we had an opportunity to make this deal back in 2005, right? Back then, Iran had 190 centrifuges. And we declined to make a deal. You know why? Because Bush and Cheney said, we don't negotiate with evildoers.
Right, and
I mean,
at that point,
what kind of idiot says that?
Right, and at that point, of course,
so we go from 190 centrifuges to now 20,000.
Right, because at that time, as Cy Hirsch was reporting, the possibility of war in Iran was very much on the table. Was very much a consideration, and you can't go to war with people you're making a peace deal with.
Yeah.
They wanted to have a war. That administration wanted to have a war with Iran, and many of those guys still do. Many of those, why can't I remember? Neocons, thank you.
The neocons, yeah. Yeah, thankfully they're not in the news that much, although sometimes with new names. Yeah, and so I'm glad to see the regular Iranians sort of happy about the deal. I mean, if you're just a person, if you're not an Ayatollah and you're not a president of Iran, if you're just a regular Iranian, there's some national pride, I suppose, to having nuclear weapons. Like you want your country to be strong, and supposedly that could bring that. But you just want to be able to import a PlayStation 4.
That's
you
right.
just want to have a regular life, and they can't because of the sanctions.
Yeah, Iranians love American culture. They love American products
and clothing and movies and music.
And here's the only way you turn them against us, by bombing them, right? It's so stupid to bomb them. I mean, making a peace deal is so much better than not making one and bombing them instead.
We on this show, when ISIS first sprang into the news, talked about that the win in ISIS might be a significant easing of tension with Iran, and I think that's
right.
That is a small upside to ISIS's rise in the region. Is that realizing that what you're looking for is stable regimes, which we of course have gone around.
Right, and just
perhaps in Iran.
Just look back at our history and what we've done. Because we hated the Iranians so much, we armed Saddam Hussein. We built him up. We helped him. We actually gave him coordinates so he can help gas people and use chemical weapons against him. So we totally built up Saddam because we hated him less than we hated Iran. And then of course Saddam becomes problematic. So we take him out.
Using the gassing as an excuse.
Yes, as an excuse. And we destabilize the whole region. And from that springs ISIS. And now because of that, we're kind of back on with the Iranians a little bit. It's crazy. I mean, it's this endless war that no matter what happens, there's they prop up a fake reason for more war.
Yeah. Now, just really fast, in case you didn't see it, Cenk did a great job of breaking down the initial framework for the deal yesterday. But the deal overall is being received incredibly favorably in America. Even some people, like Bill O'Reilly, seems initially kind of happy, which is surprising. I mean, things like their nuclear stockpile being cut by 97%, their centrifuges being cut by more than 2/3, and they're going to be limited to their most outdated, oldest model centrifuges. They're going to be limited at the extent to which they can enrich uranium. And there's going to be inspectors, which is, of course, the most important point of all of that. And in return, some of the economic sanctions are going to be lifted. This is a great thing. And there are some people who are not happy with it. Gretchen Carlson, as if she matters, really. And we know that Benjamin Netanyahu and his cabinet are not happy at all. He made clear in a statement right after the deal was announced that this deal is not acceptable and no deal will be acceptable. That leaves a single centrifuge or a single atom of uranium.
Look.
Which is it's just not going to happen.
Can Iran still make a nuclear weapon in secret? Perhaps. Okay, because I mean, you only need about 5,000 centrifuges to make it happen. Okay, and going from 0% enrichment to 4% enrichment is really like 2/3 of the work to get to 90% enrichment, because getting there is actually most of the work. Anyway, the point is, you need to have a deal, and you need to have, and the best deterrent for for any kind of nuclear war is to have that nation state be part of the international community with a lot to lose if they don't keep track of their nukes. So Pakistan has lots of nukes. We know that. And Pakistan, if you ask me, is way less stable than Iran. And Pakistan, to me, is a much bigger threat to both Israeli security and our security and everywhere else. But they have nukes. But still, it's a nation state that's stable, and they can keep control of it better than if we go into Iran and disperse it, destroy the infrastructure, and it becomes a free-for-all like in Iraq. Thank God Saddam Hussein actually didn't have WMDs, because if he did, ISIS would have them now. So you need to have a nation state. Even if they're an enemy state, they're still a state with people who have things to lose rather than just this unstable place. Yes.
Yeah, the sanctions worked.
They worked.
They worked. It's exactly. What did you want them to do? I mean, the only thing you could have possibly wanted in the end was war and the extermination of the Iranian state and the extermination of the mullahs and a puppet government there. If that's what you thought the only end game was, then guess you get to be against this deal.
That sounds like something they'd want.
And that's that scenario is horrific, because you have to have one of two things. You have to either be there forever and just have this occupying army maintaining order, or you pull out like you did in Iraq and have complete disorder. And God knows what rises up from that disorder.
You know, real quick, can we show that terrorist family again, the last photo? The family planning the terrorist attack in the tweet? No, because like my best friend went over to, he was in Morocco with his family, like his full extended family. They had a week's vacation. Steve went to Oxnard. They went to Morocco. And they had a bunch of kids in that family, ranging in age from like 8 to 17. And he said what, and counting cousins and everything. And what was incredible was to have these kids get exposed to being surrounded by Muslims in Casablanca and Marrakesh, and recognizing that, oh, look at that Muslim family. They remind me of a family. And the mom is yelling at her kid for crossing the street without looking. And the guy opened his shop, and oh, look, that guy, hi, nice to meet you. That guy we were sitting next to the restaurant, he was a lawyer. Like they're just
people,
right?
Living lives.
And the indoctrination, the overwhelming information that we've had here is that these people are dangerous because whatever it is, 25,000 of them, 60,000 of them around the world are insane.
Yeah, you're right. We need to see more pictures of this.
Right, because you know what they're going to do after that? They're going to have something to eat.
Probably watch some reality TV.
And then they're going to go to bed.
Yeah. And the parents are going to yell at the kids for eating too much dessert.
Right. I mean, it's like, and it's so obvious.
Yeah.
But when you see it and when you're immersed in it, it feels different.